So there are real demands that you can make to which yes or no answers have to be given. And from a political organizing point of view, a yes answer is a win, and a no answer means you've got a bigger movement. Yeah?
I have a sort of a broader question. So, like, sort of it was an amazing talk, and it repeatedly returns to this question of the concept of the public and the public good. So, it's in some ways it seems like the ability, sort of this idea has become sort of eroded, and sort of the idea of a substantial public sphere, or whatever you want to use to say it, is sort of not one that sort of the public believes can happen. How do you sort of restore the ability of sort of, for lack of better terms, a social democratic imaginary, lowercase SD?
Well, one of the great difficulties, you've actually asked me a question that's I'm academically qualified to answer, which is unusual with these political theorists. One of the difficulties that people have had in talking about healthcare or a lot of other issues, and we're really talking about whether education, there are three big issues in terms of the social democratic imaginary. There's hunger, there's health, and there's education. And there are different respects in which those are public goods and private goods. And there are different respects in which the public good, in some cases, is simply to ensure the private good. I think that, if you let me go a little teacherly on you. One of the difficulties between social democracy and other forms of government, including the healthcare debate, is there are two questions. One is, how good is the best? And two, how many people can have it? And one of the great problems that socialist governments had in Eastern Europe was that the best wasn't good enough, even if everyone could have it. And people would rather live in a society where the best was better and not everyone could have it, than live in a society where the concept of the best seemed to be diminished. That's a little bit of Aristotle for you. Now, why did California contribute to this debate as a kind of proto-Sweden? Well, it contributed to the debate by showing what could happen to the public or political culture of the state if the best that was available to everyone was the best that there is. Now, Californians still regard this as part of their public culture. So much so that the people who try to shut me up tell me that if I come out with the kinds of data I just came out with, for example, saying that the gap between UCLA and Irvine per student funding is bigger than the gap between UC and CSU, they say this is going to disillusion Californians because Californians still believe that UC is what it was. The people, in other words, who are trying to privatize UC are saying otherwise the best will become worse, which is why UCLA and Berkeley get so much money. They are relying on the fact that that vision has not been lost. Now, why on earth are they the people who are benefiting from that vision rather than our movement? I'm not, in answer to your question directly, I think we need to flip that issue and make it our issue, because they made it their issue. Yeah.
Oh, I just have a question specifically, like, what the administration here often says to us is that we should pay for more lobbyists and that lobbying is the answer to all of our problems. Like, Like, what's a good reputation of that?
You know, and I spoke to the students who were occupiers at Berkeley and at the campus of Santa Cruz. And they were busted. And the administration is saying you should be directing your protest to Sacramento. Now, if they had been in the same building, occupying the same building and saying they were protesting against Sacramento rather than against their own administration, would they still have been busted? I mean, in other words, is really the question simply whether you're for or against UC? I think the issue is that we can be for UC by being against UC, and that that's the way to do it now. And that the notion that our real anger should be directed elsewhere is simply